So, if some of you have heard me talk about grafting before, you'll know that I leave extra signs. Do you remember why? If I'm grafting to a mature tree, I'll leave 6 or 7 buds. I said signs, buds. And the reason is, if the top 2 or 3 are going to make new limbs, new growth, apical growth, and the bottom are going to start fruiting earlier. But you don't do that with your 1-year seedling rootstock that we graft in the spring. Just do this. Okay, first thing.
Because in this case, it's got enough of a rootstock.
I'm sorry, Dan, what?
Because in this case, it's got enough of a rootstock that's got enough nutrient to fruit that.
It's going to force it.
Whereas on a whip graft on a little bare root,
yeah,
you wouldn't want to stress the roots that much.
So all those that you saw out there, I left 4, 5, or 6, however many I had on the signs.
Okay.
The ones that we did last year. Same thing's on one next to it. I didn't show you that one, but I did that one a couple weeks ago. Okay. So the first thing we do, I usually kind of look at the stock and find the flattest area. This is a little flatter right here. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is make a cut down about maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches. And that's deep into the wood, so you know you're through the bark good. And then I put my sign up against that cut and mark the other side and make a similar cut down like that. Okay? This is an Inlay bark graft. Now I take my knife. Oh boy, this looks good. I just pulled it and it came up really nicely. Now I don't pull the thing all the way down. Some people pull it down and cut it off, but I don't do it that way. Now, I want to make a long slanting cut. Now this is big wood and it's going to be hard, so let's see what I do with it. Pretty good. Okay, nice long taper. And then on the other side, you're going to make a smaller cut, like this. Everybody see that? Just a small little cut on the other side. And then I do something I've never seen written about, but I think it might help. I just scrape just a little bit. You see a little green there. That exposes a little cambium. Then, I pull that down till my cut is almost to the bottom. And then I take my knife and I cut off the flap. Okay?
But only some of the flap, it looks like.
This part has to cover the cut.
Yeah.
But that's the only part that's important. That's right.
So how much do you want to cover the cut by, roughly?
Huh?
How much do you want to cover the cut by, roughly?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't
Just so you cut it.
Okay.
Mainly, you can leave the flap on, but it gets in the way when you start to tie it because it'll go like this. You know?
Okay.
Now, as those of you who have ever been to one of my grafting clinics or anything knows, I use 3M freezer tape for my tying. Now, if you look at Chuck Engel's PDF, he puts a nail through there. And I never thought that was necessary. A couple of reasons. I mean, it does keep it up there good and tight. And maybe when you put the nail in, it spreads it a little bit to make the cambium contact better. But I've never found that really necessary. So this we'll call the tying part of the graft. And then we'll cover all of the cut surface with my tape as well. And And now this is kind of the sealing part that I'm doing now.
What kind of tape did you say that was? It looks like masking tape, but it's not.
It's 3M freezer tape.
Freezer tape. 3M.
You get it in the kitchen section of the hardware store.
Great.
It's
Thank
not
you.
back in the
Thank you.
hardware section.
Thank you.
And it's a little bit tougher. It's a little bit more resistant to moisture. And
Okay.
it seems to have a little bit better adhesive. I don't know how I found out about it, but I just kind of like it.
Okay.
I learned to graft from T.O. Warren, the Warren Pear fame, who was my mentor when I was learning how to do things. And he used nothing but this. That would be the end of his graft right there. But I go one more step. You see, I'm really rubbing that in, getting it stuck really well. That's probably really all we need to do, but where is my paraffin, everybody? Where do I keep my paraffin when I'm grafting?
Pocket, right there.
No, it's in my pocket right here. Why?
Warm it up.
Keeps it warm, exactly. So anyway, I know Jim Crawford doesn't like this paraffin because it's got paper on it. But I do. I'm going to take one piece, stretch it a little bit, and put it over the top of this thing, just like that. And pull it over that cut part really well. We got 5 buds left. Let's see what happens when we. Now that's my paraffin. Now we're going to wrap the sign. When I first started grafting pecans, which was my early grafting, that's what I really wanted to learn to graft for, to graft pecans, because I had a lot of seedlings on my property. And I had half a dozen 50-year-old pecan trees, but I wanted some of the newer varieties. In the first few attempts of grafting, of course, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't get any takes. Finally, I learned about bark grafting. So, I can't know where I'm going with this now, but pecan grafting is very similar to this, and it works just as well. Oh, I know where I was going. We didn't have paraffin at the time, at least I didn't know about it. And so what we did was put a plastic bag over the scion and tie it down here. And then put a paper bag on top of it to keep it from overheating. And then put a little window on the north side so you could peep. Because in about 2 weeks, those buds are going to start breaking, and you want them to start growing, outside of the bag. So you would take a little slit in the plastic bag when your buds are out about this far, and gradually take more and more cut. Finally, the bag comes off. It was a good technique, but this is so much simpler.